in the list of questions to be answered, and I want to get a clear answer from the table office and the people involved on why the questions are not in the paper, because those were questions that were sent to me by my constituents in Manyata. But Honorable Speaker, now that we are talking about stuck irrigation projects, Honorable Speaker, I have two projects. One of them called Kidemo Irrigation Water Project that has been stuck, and farmers have put in their monies to get wayleave from 2019, Honorable Speaker. Also, Honorable Speaker, we have...
One question at a time, member.
It's just an additional irrigation scheme called Modatari, Honorable Speaker, that also farmers have put money, and they were supposed to be partially funded by government. But, Honorable Speaker, those two irrigation projects are stuck, and farmers are asking what the ministry is doing about that.
Minister, not that. Member for Chepalungu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to ask the minister, aware that a project, an ongoing project, water project is ongoing within my constituency, named Bomet, Longisa, Mulot. This particular project is going to serve water to Sigor. Along the way to Sigor from Kyogong, there is a very dark area called Olesoi Nyambugo. My question is, what plans do you have to erect a tank within Olesoi or Nyambugo so that it can serve the people around there with water? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Beatrice Elachi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also just want to ask the CS if it is possible the sewer lines that were done and left hanging within Nairobi, and especially in Dagoretti North, Kawangware, Gatina area, if they are able to now finalize those sewer lines and to ensure also the manholes are identified, since many of them have been taken and grabbed.
Haika.
Thank you, Speaker. I also want, now that Mzima Spring has been mentioned, I wanted to ask the Minister, Mr. Speaker, what is the progress of Mzima 2? And again, I also want to ask the Minister that there's an old pipeline that is being repaired, and it is said that the pipeline is going to replace Mzima 2. How true is that, Waziri? Thank you, Speaker.
Zamzam.
Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi ningependa kumuuliza waziri atuelezee mradi wa Galana Kulalu imefikia wapi, kwa sababu tumeona wale ambao walitoa msaada kufundwa wanalalamika kuwa wamekuwa wakiwekeza pesa zikipotea, na kule watu wengi wanahangaika chakula. Kwa hivyo ningependa kuuliza mradi huu mpaka sasa umefikia wapi, Mheshimiwa Waziri? Asante.
Farah Maalim. Alice, those are very short questions. I want you to take the shortest time possible.
Mr. Speaker, I also wish to add my voice. There was a master plan for, water master plan for Northeastern Province way back, or the North in general. And the underlying principle was to see how the surface runoff water can be harvested, because that is an area of this country where the rains are always short and we always have one drought cycle after the other. And the idea was so that when this water is being harvested, not only will it eliminate the possibility of the topsoil being eroded and the place becoming barren and desertification also increasing, but also it was going to enable a certain mixed agriculture, which means the people who are going to be exposed to some form of irrigation or some form of agriculture, crop agriculture. Can the minister put some bit of light, even if she doesn't have all the information on this, and tell us when maybe I could even personally see her and we see how that itself is formulated within the ministry and what are the plans to put it into effect in the future? Thank you.
Minister, and answer those. I want you to do that in less than 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I start with the Garana Kuraru? Garana Kuraru project was funded, and we did the first phase of 10,000 acres, and the trial stage for the maize growing occurred, and of course there were many challenges, including compression challenges by the specific contractor. However, we have taken up Garana Kuraru, and we have about three very interested private partners or investors, Mr. Speaker, because we will now not go back to GOK funding, because we have said again and again, and you know, honorable members, that there is no funding for that, but we have three very keen, interested partners. One is already on site, and we have already entered into some arrangement. We have signed an MOU for the trial stage, and maize is growing there for trial stage. They are taking 10,000 acres. We do have plans for a dam. We also have received proposals for project development for a dam to irrigate the balance of the land in Garana Kuraru, and therefore, honorable member, more details I can avail, but we have not abandoned Garana Kuraru irrigation scheme, because it's basically an irrigation land area. Over 350,000 acres are available for irrigation once we deal with the question of water, and that will be addressed by the development of a big dam that we already have. We are in the design space. Master plan by honorable member Farah Marum. Honorable member, your question is very huge. I think I may not be able to answer it now, but we are doing a lot of work in the northern counties, Marsabit, Madera, Garissa, Wajir, and Turkana. Those 5 counties are under special or specific planning for both mapping, groundwater mapping, surface water, and I think because you are also now referring to water for irrigation, it may be important that you visit my office so that I can understand specifically what you need me to address or the ministry to address. But we have secured funding for groundwater mapping for the aquifers, to find out where the aquifers are, into the tune of 20 billion under the Horn of Africa program, Honorable Speaker. Then Migori town, one of the challenges for Migori is actually availability of land for projects. We have plans, but we have challenges in terms of implementing, even before we can talk about compensation, people allowing and giving their land. So we do have plans for Migori town, water and sanitation. And if you like, you are welcome to the office. I will avail the technical people to give you more information on where we are. Honorable Aika, Mheshimiwa Aika, Women Member of Parliament for Taita Taveta, I want to confirm that Mzima 2 is an independent project on its own. It has no connection with the current pipeline. The good thing for us is that existing wayleaf for purposes of the Mzima 2, and therefore we have no charges of land claims or RAPs. And once we agree with the private investor interested, then we shall be able to commence the project. It's a high priority project. And therefore, the pipeline for the petroleum, the old pipeline, is not our pipeline. So we are working on the Mzima 2. Cheparungu, I think you're asking when we shall do a tank. I do not have that answer now. We can give you that answer later, but construction of a tank is something the national water harvesting can be able to factor in depending on the volume that we need, and therefore within the year we can possibly accommodate that, even if it is planning and budgeting, and then wait to secure funding. Kithimu and Mudatari were irrigation projects. The honorable member wants to know why they are stuck. Where is that answer? May I say that maybe this is something that I need to get informed about by my teams, and because the projects, I think it is just poor work by the contractor, but I would rather give the honorable member more information, and I agree that I will forward. That is something we can avail to the honorable member, including what intervention I, as a minister, will take to ensure that those projects are completed. I believe any person have left out their question? Who? Which question? I think I have covered all the questions. Honorable Speaker, if you allow me, the sewer lines in Nairobi.
Yes. Just finish that, then we release you to go to another. She asked that there are some...
yes, some hanging, lying around of, I think, abandoned
sewer lines that have not been completed.
I would rather that I give the honorable member a more comprehensive answer, because that question has been floated now. But I know that we are working on some of the destroyed pipes that were destroyed during the construction of, for example, the expressway and other areas. So I could maybe cover all that during the response to the honorable member. She's my friend, and actually she can come into the office like every other member, and we can address that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable members, I want to end here with this minister.
I thought I would just get
Honorable
a clap.
Mulher, you... Yes? Alice, the member who is standing now, Honorable Mulher, says she had a question which doesn't appear on the order paper. I don't know if you have her...
Maybe it's from
Mandera? Yes.
Yes, this was like, I think the Honorable Speaker, you had said you will allow, is it a supplementary question? There was a question that came late.
As is a substantive question, is not supplementary. It came only yesterday.
Oh, it came to us yesterday. Honorable Member Umulker Kasim.
Yes.
I have some maybe response that could give her.
She has not even asked the question.
Okay.
Honorable Speaker, I can clarify.
Yes.
She already has the question.
She very well may have the question. What I'll direct is that because we have an order, Mulher, I'm not giving you the floor yet. So that we do justice to your question, and members who have questions that are burning, we have the Minister for Lands coming. I want to direct the clerk that immediately after the short recess, the first Wednesday, we'll invite the Minister for Water and give her 1 hour to deal with the questions that are burning among members. So please hold your horses so that we can have Alice here the first Wednesday after the short recess of 2 weeks. We'll give you an hour to come and answer questions. Omulheri's question, the member for Manyata, and all those who have questions like Makali Mulu. I'm not allowing you now. What is the... Yes?
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I want just to alert the Minister that also Kitui Town sewer line is also not operational.
Yes.
So she can also come with a report on what is happening.
Excellent. What Who is the other member there?
Member of Parliament, Makueni constituency.
Yes.
And my question is on Thwake Dam. I wish to thank the CS for visiting Thwake Dam in our first days in office. And we had a very fruitful consultative meeting where she assured us that two major activities will be done for Thwake Dam. One was the issue of cleaning, making sure that the water is clean in Thwake. Two, having the design done, because by June 2024, Thwake will be operational. In the last 2 months, Thwake has been closed down. And I was just wondering, does the dream still exist? Thank you.
Alice, just note that you'll answer when you come back after recess. Joseph? Give Joseph the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I just wanted to add another question to the CS. The Kapsabet town sewer system, there is a raw sewer running along the road. And I've done investigations and realized that the septic tank that was erected some years back is smaller and it can no longer handle the entire sewer system. So I would like for the CS to do her investigations so that next time when she comes here, she'll also be able to answer the same question. Thank you.
For next time. Yes, member for Mwatate, is it? Ganze. Yes. Give him the mic. Alice, you just note that for next time. Give him the mic. Yeah, there you are.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Okay, this is a follow-up to the question that has been asked by the women rep for Taita Taveta, Lydia Haika. It's on the Mzima 2 project. And I'm glad that the CS has confirmed that this is a priority project for the government. So my question will be, because there has been grapevine that this project is not going to serve Mombasa alone, but it's also going to serve Ganze. And I'm glad the CS made a visit to Ganze in April, and she knows the water situation that we have in that constituency. So my question is, because there's a rumor that this project is going to pass through, the pipeline is going to pass through Ganze. So I want a confirmation from the CS whether this is true or it's just grapevine. Thank you.
Okay, Alice, you've heard that rumor. You come with it next time. Member for Nakuru Town East.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have only two issues. There was a water pan that was done in Mzee Wanyama in a ward called Nakuru East Ward. It was never completed, and we have never known the status of that water pan. And secondly, 5 boreholes, which were given to Nakuru Town East constituency in the second supplementary budget in 2021-2022, I don't know what happened. And we had been given the 5 boreholes and money was allocated, and we don't know what happened to
Thank
the
you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Alice, you are noting that? Oyula, you'll be the very last.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to ask the CS about irrigation project that was started in Butula several years back but abandoned because of technicalities. Can the CS look through the ministry's records and let us know when the ministry will resume on the irrigation project that was started in Butula?
Thank you.
Secondly, just
only one, Oyula. Yes, you will be the very last. Member, that's member for? Kinango.
Yes.
Yes, Gonzirai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a quick one. there is a tension actually in Makamini Dam because of the fact that there was actually a disclosure that the Land Commission was supposed to send some valuers by 30th of June. Today, we are on the 5th of July, and the situation actually on the ground is very tense. Can we just get an indication as to when valuers will be on ground? Because we have already lost one person because of the tension on ground. Can you just assist us with just an indication when the valuers are actually on ground, people who are displaced?
Honorable Minister Alice Nganga, you've noted all those quick questions. I'm not allowing anybody else, even you. I'm not allowing anybody else. We are now going to release the minister on the rider that she has picked your questions. Those who have more questions, she will be here in the next 3 weeks. Mulyungi, hold your horses. I'll give you the first bite when she comes here. Within the next, including yourself, yes, I'll give you. When, including Ferdinand Wanyonyi, all of you. So let's close here for Alice. Alice, you can see that water, Honorable Ferdinand, water is life. You hold a very important ministry. You can see the enthusiasm of the members. Everybody has an issue about water in their constituencies or in their areas. So next, as soon as we resume after 2 weeks, I will allow you the first appearance. Get ready the questions you have picked, and there will be other questions, including the lady from Garissa and the honorable member from Manyata, and all those who have asked questions, and any other that will arise in between.
Safe to correct that I'm Alice Wahome. You have called me Alice Nganga.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Alice Nganga is the member of parliament for Thika Town. Yes. You are Alice Wahome, my distinguished learned friend who was 1 year behind me at the university. So I know you pretty well.
Yes, thank you.
You are hereby released
thank you.
to give way to the Minister for Lands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honorable members.
Yes, Order Alice, the chair of the committee that oversees you is agitating.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't have a supplementary question or a question, but as a chair who is oversighting water, I just want to appreciate my cabinet secretary and the entire team from the ministry for the elaborate answers, especially to many of the questions which were asked by members. And secondly, the Honorable Speaker, just to tell my honorable colleagues that for the few months I have been oversighting the ministry has a serious challenges in terms of funding. And Mr. Speaker, in our constitution, the Bill of Rights, water is provided for under Article 43 of the Constitution. It is not, the roads is not there. Electricity is not there. As members of this House, Honorable Speaker, I want to beseech my colleagues that we increase the funding for water. Especially, Mr. Speaker, there is a proposal which the ministry and also I presented before this House that if there is need, we should have a funding for water, especially so that there is no, the questions we are seeing.
You've made your point. Thank you.
Help. Thank you, Honorable
You've
Speaker.
made your point.
Thank you.
You'll prosecute that before the budget committee. Alice, you are released.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll see you in 3 weeks' time. Thank you. Bring in the Minister for Lands. Lands, Public Works, Housing, and Urban Development. Member for Mwingi Central, get ready to ask your question. Sergeant, the members loudly conversing in the walkway are interfering with the proceedings of the House. Those members out there, can you advise them to move a little further and continue talking from away from the house? Minister for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, welcome to Parliament. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 questions for you this afternoon, and we hope we can do better than the water, if we can do in 1 hour. The first 2 questions are coming from the same member, Honorable Gideon Mulyungi of Mwingi Central. So Honorable Mulyungi, ask your question 084 and 085 together.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 084/2023 to the CS Lands. Number 1, could the CS explain why parcels of land in Mui-Kom Basin, Mwingi East Sub-County, that have errors in their title deeds have not been resurveyed and the errors corrected? And when would they be resurveyed and the errors corrected? Number 2, could the CS indicate when we will land in insecurity-prone areas in Mwingi East Sub-County, bordering Tana River County, will be adjudicated, surveyed, and title deeds issued to the residents? Mr. Speaker, on the Moi-Kom Basin title deeds, I raised this matter in the last Parliament in 2019, and the ministry confirmed it is true there were errors, and they promised to correct.
Ask the next question.
Yeah, but they kept on saying that they don't have facilitation to go to the ground. Mr. Speaker, I ask question number 085/2023 to the same CS. Number 1, could the CS provide details of the contract sum and the contract period for the iMust security lighting project undertaken in Mwingi Town by the State Department for Housing and Urban Development? Number 2, could the CS indicate when the project will be completed and handed over to the county government of Kitui for maintenance? Number 3, could the CS provide more iMust security lighting in order to cover a wider area and improve the security in the town? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for inviting me here to come and answer questions from honorable members of Parliament. And before I do that, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Committee on Land and also the Committee on Housing and Public Works for the support they've been offering to the ministry's initiative, and also offer more collaboration with this House to better serve the citizens of this great nation. Mr. Speaker, on the first question by the member for Mwingi Central, Honorable Gideon Mulyungi, MP, where he requests me to explain why the parcels of land in Moi-Kom Basin, Mwingi East Sub-County that have errors in their title deeds have not been resurveyed and the errors corrected, and when will they be resurveyed and the errors corrected? Mr. Speaker, the background information in regard to this question is that the coal basin in Mwingi covers 7 registration sections. These were registered after the process of land adjudication in accordance with the Land Adjudication Act, Cap 284 laws of Kenya. And these 7 registration sections are 1, Mutiangombe, 2, Thitha, 3, Kitiso, Yumbu, Itiko A, 5 Ngiluni, 6 Ngoo, and 7 Kivo. We also have the date these registration sections were registered and the number of titles. Honorable Speaker, in response to this question, I would like to respond as follows. The Honorable Member of Parliament raised an earlier petition number 160/2019 in respect of errors and inconsistencies on the acreage as reflected on the title deeds. A team from the ministry visited the area from November 4th to November 17th, 2019 to assess the situation. The team confirmed that indeed there were errors that occurred during survey of the sections and publication of maps. It was resolved that surveys be carried out and the erroneous titles be recalled for corrections. Mr. Speaker, due to financial constraint, this has not been done. The ministry will prioritize to undertake the activities in the financial year 2023-2024. Honorable Speaker, in response to question 2, where we should indicate when we land in insecurity-prone areas of Mwingi East, sub-county bordering Tana River County, will be adjudicated, surveyed, and title deed issued to the residents, I would like to respond as follows. The area was declared an adjudication section named Egamba Kandolongwe on November 24th, 2016, and due to staff shortage, work commenced on April 11, 2022, and demarcation is ongoing. The adjudication process will be fast-tracked so that it is concluded in the financial years of 2023-2024 and 2024-2025. The ministry, Honorable Speaker, will also liaise with the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to ensure security is provided for successful implementation of adjudication program. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether I also go to the second question.
Yes.
Thank you. The second question by the same Member of Parliament, Honorable Gideon Muliungi. Honorable Speaker, I'm meant to provide details of the contract sum and contract period for the high-mast security lighting project undertaken in Mwingi Town by the State Department for Housing and Urban Development. Also indicate when will the project be completed and handed over to the county government of Kitui. And then part 3, consider adding more high-mast security lights in order to cover a wider area and improve security in the town. Honorable Speaker, I wish to respond as follows. The project was awarded to MS Biomax Africa Limited of PO Box 91131-80100 Mombasa on June 3rd, 2020, with a contract sum of 18,599,150, inclusive of all taxes. The agreement between MS Biomax Africa Limited and the accounting officer was signed on July 29th, 2020, and the high masts were erected in the following locations in Mwingi Sub-County, Kitui County. One was in Musila Gardens, KCB, Country Bus, Kenya Power, and Probox Stage. The contract data, Mr. Speaker, was for project. The project installation was of 5 electric-powered high-mast flood lighting structures in various informal settlements in Kitui County. The contract number was as indicated there. The contractor was MS Biomax Africa Limited. The client was Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, State Department of Housing and Urban Development, and it was from the Slum Upgrading Department. The user or beneficiary was the county government of Kitui, and the supervisors was the Public Works, Kitui County. Contract sum was 599,150. Commencement date was September 3rd, 2020, and completion date was March 18th, 2021, and the work done was 100%. Honorable Speaker, 5 electric-powered high-mast flood lighting structures in various informal settlements in Kitui County was 18,599,150. The contract period of 28 weeks plus a 6-month defects liability period. Then there was the project officially commenced on September 3rd, 2020, and was completed on March 18, 2021. Certificate of practical completion was issued on December 15, 2021, and the certificate of making good defects was issued on June 15, 2022. Honorable Speaker, in response to question 2, I wish to respond as follows. There were 2 meetings as well as site inspections to hand over the high masts to the county government of Kitui on January 14, 2022 and June 21, 2022. The handing over was postponed due to a pending Kenya Power and Lighting Company bill of Kenya shillings 454,720 that was not factored in the contract. The bill has since, Mr. Speaker, been settled, and the ministry is making arrangements for handover to the county government of Kitui. Honorable Speaker, in response to question number 3, the ministry will consider adding more high-mast flood lighting to cover a wider area and also ensure security once the budget is allocated. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary, Honorable Mulungi. Do you have any supplementary or you are satisfied?
Yeah, I have a supplementary. On question number 084, stroke 2223, Roman 1 and 2. Yeah, on Muikom Basin, I think the CS should be very clear and practical on the timeline here. So I need to know within what period will they be going back to the site to start surveying. Roman number 2, on the titling of the border with Tana River, there is only one surveyor on site. He will take ages to complete, more than decades to complete. So could the CS add extra surveyors to support that exercise? On question number 085, stroke 2023, on the IMAST, security lighting. Now, the CS has said that he will consider adding more lights when funds become available. I think budget has just been read. He should be telling me, is there provision in the budget for additional IMAST or not, so that it is not a story. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Hold, Mr. Minister. I'll Omboko Milemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. These questions had been forwarded correctly, so I'll just ask them as they were, though they did not appear on the order paper. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain why Muhaya Sub-County has not been having a land control board since 1919? And number 2, why is the Muhaya Sub-County not appearing in the newly gazetted list of land control board members for the respective sub-counties around the country, despite the Vihiga County Commissioner having submitted the list of the nominees for all the sub-counties in Vihiga? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Could the CS provide information in regard to the titleage of South Ngariama land including the procedure and rationale of adjudication process being undertaken. 2, whether the ministry is relying on the original mapping done by GeoAcre Limited, and if not, indicate which one and the rationale for the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Can the CS also inform Nairobians, especially the schools, Lavington Primary School, Mudhangari Primary School? Why is it first Mudhangari, the title to date? You will never find it even in the lands ministry. And after digitization was done, Mr. Speaker, we affected so many things. Lavington Primary is 21 acres, and right now it is so encroached, and if possible, we can meet him with all the stakeholders to ensure we deal with the matter once and for all.
Edith? Honorable Edith Nyanzi.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me find out from the CS when compensation will be done to the people who gave out land when the Kibwez Kitui Mwingi Road was being done. There are some people who gave out land. They signed some forms with the National Land Commission, and they've not been compensated for a very long time. And my people in the constituent, when will they be compensated? Thank you.
Zamzam.
Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kumuuliza waziri kule Dongo Kundu ambapo wameanza special economic zone pale, kuna wakazi ambao walikuwa hapo miaka mingi sana, walikuwa na mashamba eka 10, 20, lakini wanalia kuwa wanapewa 50 by 100 na saa zingine wanapelekwa sehemu ambazo hata wawezi kukaa vizuri, sehemu ambazo ni tata katika ardhi. Kwa hiyo ningependa kujua umewapangia vipi wakazi wa Dongo Kundu na watafidiwa vipi mashamba yao? Asante sana.
Minister, can you answer those supplementary? I'll come back to you. Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. In regards to the first question, 084-2023, I want to assure the Honorable Member that there is a budget allocation of 100 million towards the project of high masks. And it's good also to note there were areas that were never even got those facilities. So once we look at this budget, then we'll be able to see whether we can have additional high mass security lights. So it's good to note that we cut across all the counties, and kindly appreciate what you got first. But I can assure you, once funds allow, we are going also to have additional. On allocation, the other issue is on the Amuhoya. Yes, Amuhoya. Yes, we have areas that were left behind on the Lands Control Board. What we do as a ministry, we write to the county commissioners who, through their DCCs, are supposed now to come up with names and then forward them to the ministry for gazettement. So what I want to assure the honorable member is that I'll take up the issue, but also you can visit the ministry so that we can follow it up with you. And it's unfortunate that the constituency has stayed for such long without a land spot. The other question is in regards to the Lavington Primary School and Mudhangari. Honorable Member, Honorable Speaker, there's a team working on public lands across the country. We know there have been rampant grabbing of public land, so there's a team that is working, and that report will help the ministry deal with issues of land that has been grabbed, and Lavington Primary and Mudhangari will be one of those. On the compensation of some land, Honorable Speaker, the issue on compensation for public land is entirely with the National Land Commission. So this is an issue that we'll pick with the National Land Commission to see how they are going to fast track that issue. On the Dongo Kundu compensation, this is usually based on the size of the land that is being processed. Kwa hivyo wale ambao wamepewa sehemu ndogo za ardhi, kama sio wote, basi kama wizara tutaangalia ni jinsi ipi ambayo tutaweza kuwasaidia. Lakini we are trying to make sure every person gets compensation. So if there will be any issues that will need to be looked into, the ministry is ready to do that, Mheshimiwa. On the issue of titling, Honorable Speaker, I want to assure this Honorable House that where we have few staff, we have advertised for more recruitment, and in this financial year, we are going to have, though not adequate number of staff, we are going now to spread those we will get to make sure that we fast track areas that need our attention. I think, Honorable Speaker, I've covered.
Jerry, there is one question from the distinguished member for Kirinyaga, the women rep. She asked about some specific. Jerry, can you repeat your question? You got it, Minister?
Yeah, maybe she can repeat it, please.
Jerry.
That's in order. I almost complained, Honorable Speaker. Thank you. My question, CS, could you provide information in regard to the titleage of the Southern Gariama land, the procedure and the rationale of the adjudication currently being undertaken, and two, whether the ministry is relying on the original mapping done by GeoAcre Limited, and if not, indicate which one and the rationale behind it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. With the South Gariama land, there is a team that is working to make sure that that process is done, but I would request, Honorable Member, you can visit us in the ministry so that we can look into the whole issue and do that process seamlessly. So I would request that you visit the ministry so that we can handle that issue with you and other leaders. Thank you.
Yes, Jeanette. What about Jeanette? Give Jeanette mic.
Mr. Speaker, I want to seek your indulgence on a matter. Mr. Speaker, when the cabinet secretaries come here, most of them, their answers to certain questions is, you can visit us in the office. We don't want to visit. We want answers here in Parliament. This is our place of operation, Mr. Speaker. We don't want to go and take tea in the offices.
Indeed, Minister, once a question comes to the floor as a property of this House, it no longer becomes a private engagement between any member and the minister. So try as much as you can to answer questions. Where you don't have ready answers, we can indulge you to write to the House, and the member will be notified, or we will call you within the shortest time possible to answer questions that you may not have been having the facts readily available to you. But we discourage this camaraderie of moving away questions from being the House property to a private engagement between a member. The moment I approve a question, it ceases to be an engagement between a member and the minister. It's a property of the House. Yes, Mulyongi?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I'll come to you.
Mr.
Yes,
Speaker, in my supplementary question, there are some questions which the CS has skipped. He has not answered. And one of them is regarding Mui Basin. I asked you about the timelines. It's not, you told me about the Wulia. You look at the Wulia and see what
okay,
you can
you made
do.
your point.
So, number two, that's
Yes.
one. I want timelines on that. Number two, I cannot agree with the CS that Kenyan government does not have surveyors, because he's saying it's recruiting. How do you recruit to supply surveyors?
Ask him a question.
So CS, can you assure me that you are going to add more surveyors at the border of Tana River for surveying the land? Thank you.
Thank you. Oundo, what is the problem?
Probably it's just a matter of a policy matter, and I want the Cabinet Secretary, and picking up where Honorable Kileleshwa Primary School land, Cabinet Secretary is aware that many primary schools, public primary schools in this country, have no titles, have no ownership registration documents. And it's even more telling, Honorable Speaker, for those schools that the community vested land. And we have cases where the patriarch or the matriarch who gave out land for the particular school never completed the process. Many of the primary schools, because of delayed in transfer of funds from the national government, are unable to put in funds to acquire title because they require a government surveyor. A government surveyor would want to be facilitated transport, paid for lunch. There are certain payments to be made. Can the minister probably in due course with his team come up with a very clear policy framework that will reduce the burden and the cost of the impoverished schools so that they can be given some kind of remission, they prepare and acquire titles to avoid encroachment and the so-called referred land grabbing, which does not even exist in practice. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Minister.
Honorable Speaker, for the Mui Coal Basin issue, as I said, we are going to have it done in this financial year 2023-2024, and I want to assure the honorable member that once funds are released within 60 days, we will have done that work. Two, for the surveyors, for our staff and surveyors, we are mobilizing. We'll mobilize those whom we have, and I can assure you that work. The one surveyor will be now working towards doing that work. Honorable Speaker, as a ministry, we have a titling program for all public learning institutions. We have a committee that is working towards that, and through our national titling program, we are going to issue titles to all learning institutions without charging. So we know that most of those learning institutions have been grabbed. Those who have grabbed, once that committee comes up with that report, then we'll make sure that land reverts back